Welcome to Armstrong High School, a rainy night, but two teams looking for a victory here tonight as the Falcons host the Park Center Pirates. Hi, I'm Jay Wilcox along with Bill Huntstock. And Bill, both of these programs had great years, breakout years last year. Park Center going 8-3, Armstrong was 7-3. A little different story this year. They had some graduation losses, and particularly in Armstrong's case, a ton of injuries. So both teams have gotten off to 1-2 starts.
Both teams are struggling. They're really looking for their identity. Both coaching staffs have worked hard to try to prepare their kids for tonight's game because they haven't had that identity that they had a year ago. They're still thinking about some of the things that happened a year ago, and we need to be better. And the coaching staff are both of them are just trying to get the kids to focus on the task at hand, which is playing tonight's game and playing each game each week, and don't worry about what went before. And then again, dealing with injuries. I mean, I don't know how you deal with that. I never figured it out. So it's a tough one, especially when you lose key people.
Park Center, a victory to start the year over Bloomington Kennedy. Then they had a couple tough opponents in a row. Spring Lake Park, they felt like they played a fairly decent game, especially defensively against them, but lost that one. And then De La Salle got them last week. Meanwhile, for Armstrong, they could have a lot different feeling coming into this one if the game had ended 30 seconds earlier last week. They had Cooper on the ropes. They led throughout the game until the Hawks scored with 20 seconds left. Even though it ended up being a loss, Jack Nagan said he was pretty proud of the way his kids competed in that game.
Exactly, and Coach Nagan said that, the guys, he was really pleased with the guys that they came together. They had some problems during the week, and they've had some injuries, so he's really pleased with how they played together as a team last week, and that they really focused on what was going on and those kinds of things, and he's hoping that will carry over. He was very disappointed with the loss, but not disappointed with all the positives that came out of it. So when you have a tough loss to an inter-district rival, that's a tough one. But if you can come away with more positives than negatives, that bodes well for your team in the long run.
Let's talk about key players in tonight's contest, starting with Park Center, and a guy that other teams have been keen on quite a bit. They've been trying to spring their running back Malcolm Richards loose. He's a very talented player. They haven't blocked as well as they would have liked, but he's very capable, and they're hoping to get him some big plays tonight. Yeah,
and with young people and an inexperienced offensive line, Malcolm Richards is the key guy. And the coaching staff, again, they said that people have blitzed against them. They've stacked the defense against their running game, and they've really been challenged. But he felt like they hung in there with Spring Lake Park pretty well, and Richards had one or two pretty good runs where he broke a tackle and got out into the open and really used his speed. If they can do that, if they can get one or two broken tackles, if they can get the offensive line to work together and open a couple of holes, Richards will create some real problems for the Armstrong defense. And even though they've played well, he's got some of those talents that it's hard to corral.
And for Armstrong, we're going to talk about a guy. They lost their first three running backs that they expected to be their top guys coming in. Isaiah Poster, a receiver, but he's also going to see some time in the backfield. He had a real nice game against Cooper last week, scored both of Armstrong's touchdowns.
Well, yeah, Poster is a versatile athlete, primarily listed as a receiver, but with three top guys going down, the Vikings and the Gophers think they got a problem with one running back down. They've got three down, and they're moving a receiver into the running back spot, and he's just absorbed it. He's just doing what he's supposed to do. And I think, again, the coaching staff has boosted him, and they're running the types of plays that fit into his athletic talents. And when you do that, you can let the kid just play. You don't have to worry about what he's playing. Just let him run.
All right, tough starts for both of these teams, but a great opportunity to get a win here tonight. It's the Pirates and the Falcons coming up next here on 12 Sports.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back here to Armstrong. Looks like skies are clearing just a bit after a very rainy pregame, trying to stay dry. And filling us in from the sideline tonight will be Allie Arlt. Let's go down to Allie.
Thanks, Jay. You know, tonight is about an injured Armstrong team versus a Park Center team struggling to find their offense. Coming into this one, the Falcons have lost their season-starting quarterback, they lost their running back last game, and 4 of their 7 captains are also out with injuries. I asked Coach Nagin how he feels about the depth of his team, and he said at this point, with so many injured, we don't have any. He said expect to see about 5 or 6 guys tonight on both sides of the ball. Now for Park Center, they've only scored 2 times over 3 games so far this season. Coach Strong says it is penalties and turnovers which are the culprit for that. He said if we can stay away from that tonight, they should be able to put some points on the board.
Thanks very much, Allie. As the Pirates and Falcons, after going a long time really without playing, have been playing the last couple of years. Had a pretty good game last year. Armstrong winning in the matchup, 44-26. Field conditions, should be pretty good. It's, a little bit wet. It's just more a matter of if the ball is going to be a little bit wet. But I think other than that, we should be pretty good to go.
Yeah, they'll shuttle in a dry ball every play probably, so that shouldn't be a huge issue. And the field drains pretty well, so it'll be damp, but it won't be unplayable by any stretch of the imagination. We got a beautiful rainbow arcing over the stadium here tonight. Lovely sight.
Dominic Fess back deep along with Michael Bailey for Park Center. And Blake Wilkins in the middle as Matthew Jager will kick off. Both teams have pretty decent kickers. Jager puts his foot to it and drifting back, it is taken at the 1-yard line here for Park Center. And pretty good kick coverage is wrapped up right around the 15-yard line or so for Park Center is Blake Wilkins. So Pirates will have the football first, but not phenomenal field position as they start on about their own 15. Jamal Brown, the junior, is their quarterback, and they have had some ups and downs certainly offensively to start the year.
Yeah, they really have, and like Ali said, only having 2 touchdowns in the first 3 games, really tells you that their offense is struggling.
Flag. So Park Center won't even have as good a field position as we thought here. They'll be pushed back inside the 10 to start things out. Looks like about the 8-yard line here, first down and 10 for the Pirates. Brown dropping to throw, pressure coming. He dumps it off at the last second, and they're going to rule him to be down at about the 1-yard line, it looks like. So they narrowly avoid a safety, and they narrowly avoid an intentional grounding as Brown was being spun around as he tried to throw that ball away. So Coach Strong said we've been getting blitzed a lot, and the pressure was in Brown's face right away that time.
I definitely think they're going to see a wide variety of blitzes, and they're going to see 9 people up on the line of scrimmage almost every play.
So they are pushed back to just outside the goal line here. Second and about 17. Go with the handoff to Richards, and he was chopped down after a very short pickup there, as knifing in to drag him down for the Falcons was Michael Wozniak, I believe. Give Richards a couple.
They actually had a decent hole that time for Richards, but he just got tripped up right as he got into it.
Yeah, Wozniak able to get him around the ankles there. So Park Center, you want to be careful in this spot too. I mean, obviously you'd like to get the first down, but more so just give your punter a little room too.
Exactly.
And they're going to hand it off. Oh boy, this is close. Fighting his way out of the end zone though. And it will be 4th and very long here as the Pirates are going to have to kick it away. Armstrong defense arriving in a hurry there, and they were lucky to get out of the end zone.
Boy, they very lucky to get out of the end zone. Malcolm Richards just one step.
Nick Peterson punting and gets away a low liner. Nick Svensson will take it on the bounce, and he is spun down hard by Rudy Peel. So good kick coverage there for Park Center, and fortunately so, really, for them.
And considering the field position that they were in and the fact that the punter was kicking right from the end line, actually got a pretty good kickoff and got that end-over-end bounce. And Svensson did a good job of catching it, but he took a shot right as soon as the ball hit his hands.
So there's Nick Svensson. As we said, he was scheduled to be a safety this year, and he'll play on D2, but called into duty right away after an injury in that first game against Chanhassen. First down and 10 Armstrong at the Park Center 44-yard line. First down handoff here and bouncing, trying to get to the outside, but well defended as Olsen on the carry and wrapped up by Rudy Peel. Elliot Olsen, another guy, primarily a linebacker, but now being called on to handle the ball some in the backfield. He got a yard. 2nd and 9 coming up here for the Falcons. Back to Olsen right side, and a nice gap up the middle before he is brought down from behind that time by Shakur Debs, but a nice gainer for the Falcons here. He won't quite have enough for the first down, but only about a yard short.
Yeah, really nice cut back in a good hole there. So Olsen did a nice job of finding the seam and getting upfield.
Svensson with a 3rd and short here coming up for the Falcons. Go right back to Olsen. Big gap up the right side. And he spills his way down near the 25-yard line. So give him about 9 more. That offensive line doing well so far here for Armstrong. And they're going to quickly come up to the line of scrimmage. Right back to Olsen left side. Cuts around the block and then ridden down hard from behind there by Marshawn Jones. But another decent pickup there of 4 or 5 for the Pirates, for the Falcons. Give them 4. So you look at the Park Center defense back on their heels a little bit to start things out. It's been a heavy dose of Elliot Olsen behind that offensive line. Svensson this time keeping it as he tries to get to the edge, cuts it up hard, and looks like he may have enough for the first down over there on that right hash. Or he'll be close anyway. Nope, not quite going to have it. Going to be a yard short.
Yep, going to be just a half yard or so short. But the running game for Armstrong starting off pretty good. Their offensive line is coming off the ball nicely.
Flag will fly here, and this penalty going to be marched off against Armstrong. So instead of 3rd and less than a yard, it'll be back to 3rd and 6.
Yeah, one of the offensive linemen flinched right before the snap of the ball.
Svensson looking to set up a screen as a rush comes, and it is incomplete. Thrown over the head of his receiver, Green.
Well, that was well-defended screen. The receiver had blockers in front of him, and Blake Wilkins did a nice job of getting in underneath that coverage and harass the receiver just enough to make it overthrown.
Hey, we'll go for it here on 4th down, but Marshawn Jones jumps across. Now, it's not quite going to be enough for a first down. Push them to right back where they had been before that previous penalty, but leave them with a much more makeable situation, obviously, after that 5-yard mark-off.
And this is what Coach Strong was talking about, having the penalties. That's a killer penalty right there. You have them 4th and 6. You got good momentum with your defense. You've shut them down here on this part of the field, and now you give them an opportunity to get a first down and keep the drive going.
To Olsen, and well defended, but he should have enough for the first down here. Not quite well enough defended. I guess I'd say in a normal play you'd say that was pretty good defense, but I don't think it was enough to stop them from gathering the first down, although it might be close enough to measure here.
Yeah, you got that one step, and it looks like it's going to be quite close, but Coach Larry Tate talking to one of his players, Tristan Evgen. Coach Tate, the running backs coach here at Armstrong.
He will have the first down, although not by as much as I was first thinking there.
But that's what we're talking about, the penalty. That, it's a 5-yard penalty. It doesn't seem like much, but at the point in time that it came, it allowed Armstrong, instead of having a 4th and 6, which is a totally different kind of play call than 4th and less than 1. And they just barely made it.
And off again to Olsen. Wrapped up and brought down by Debs, but a nice pickup again as that they've been getting really strong surge from that offensive line. And he will pick up another 6 or so.
Yeah, the offensive line is doing a nice job. They're getting across the neutral zone a little bit quicker than the Park Center linemen.
Back to Olsen, and this time he is met and dropped, and his lid comes off. He was popped pretty good there. As standing him up was Ryan Schnobrick right there, and a little help there too, knocked the helmet off. So one of the few plays where Armstrong went absolutely nowhere, about a 1-yard loss.
Right. And Olsen has to come out. He's replaced by number 16, James Young. 6 foot, 165-pound senior. Oh,
so Poster will move into the backfield. And a 4-receiver set for Armstrong. This is more of the look they were expecting to have coming into the season, I think, but have had to go a little more conservative with all the injuries. Svensson handing to Poster. They weren't quite on the same page there, but Poster then will get himself going, and he is down inside the 5. Will be 1st and goal to go at about the 3-yard line. I don't think he went on the same side that Svensson was expecting him on there, but it still worked.
That's a misdirection play. Not by intent, but by execution.
So 1st down goal to go for the Falcons after they pinned Park Center deep and forced a punt. And now trying to punch it in, take advantage here. As Olsen, of course, comes right back in. He had to come out because of his helmet coming off on that one play, but he is back in there in the backfield. He will get the handoff. Olsen trying to get to that goal line. They stand him up, and he is in for the touchdown. Got a little help there as they got into a little rugby scrum, and that big O-line helped push him in.
Yeah, can I get a little help from my friends? That was a pretty good push right here at the end. You can see the 4 of the offensive linemen leaning on it a little bit.
So Jaeger will come on to attempt the extra point here for Armstrong. As they go right down the field and score, his extra point is good. And with 5:50 to go here in this first quarter, it is Armstrong 7 and Park Center nothing. So they have to feel pretty good about what that offensive line was able to do. And Olsen running hard. And you see here's the they didn't quite have him stopped enough for the whistle to sound there.
Right.
And obviously it's legal for them to knock the whole pile back like that.
And you can see that Armstrong's got some fairly good-sized lads up front there. Matt Machinsky goes at 6'7", 300 pounds.
A.J. Jacobson, another guy that's been a real regular for a long time on that line, along with Mochinsky, too. And he goes 6'2", 265. So
And Nick Trump, the center, at 6'4", 295. So they got 3 guys in there that are pretty good size.
Wilkins back in the middle again with Bailey and Fees flanking him as Jager will kick it off. He nearly reached the end zone last time, although not quite. They had good kick coverage, though. Jager booming this one, and that one will be about 3 yards deep into the end zone. So a touchback, and Park Center will get its second possession starting on the 20-yard line here. Obviously not a great start. I mean, they were pinned pretty deep on the kickoff, then had an immediate penalty, and they were kind of running uphill at that point.
Yeah, they're in much better field position now, even at the 20-yard line, than they were when they were inside the 10 to start with.
There's a look at Coach Strong for Park Center. Done a nice job with their program, and he knew this year was going to be a challenge, and they didn't have as much coming back and everything. And he said there's a little bit of pressure on the kids to try and live up to what they did the last couple of years, or what the team did. So here's Brown handing it off in a big gap initially, but it closes. Richards brought down a nice fill to get up there. Wozniak coming in, where that one had a chance to go for quite a bit more. It was a very good initial hole, but he got off his block nicely.
Yeah, Wozniak does a nice job, and we just get a very short glimpse, but you get a glimpse of the kind of speed that Malcolm Richards has.
2nd and 5 for Park Center as he brings that ball out to the 25-yard line. Jamal Brown working under center here for the Pirates. Go to Richards again, left side, breaks through a tackle and fights his way out over the 35. He'll have the first down with these as he picks up 10 or 11 on the play. And this one well blocked by the left side of that Pirates line too.
You can see that Richards does a nice job. Once they get him a hole, he gets into it and can accelerate with pretty good speed and make something happen.
Mackay Bessick stood his ground there, but kind of got run over a little bit. But he stayed with it and helped make the tackle anyway. But Richards running hard right into him. First down at the 36. Brown going to hand it off again. It's Richards, and he is chopped down. Tackle for the Falcons made by Schreiner. Just a couple on that pickup. Armstrong has been pretty solid tackling. You know, they've been blocked a few of these times, but I mean, the first guy a lot of times is doing a pretty good job fundamentally of getting there and wrapping up.
Right, and one of the things you want your running back to be able to do is to either avoid or break a tackle at the line of scrimmage or in the linebacker zone.
They go to the fullback this time, and not much doing. Well defended as Josh Yang took that handoff, and maybe a yard, if that. No, I think he's going to lose a little bit.
Yeah.
Got to throw that in there once in a while to keep them honest, though, so that they don't get it Richards every time.
Right. And they're also going to have to throw the football, and they're going to have some success throwing the football because the linebackers are just have no respect for the passing game, so they're going to have to, Park Center's going to have to throw the ball with some success.
Here's Brown floating it up there, and it is intercepted. Nice catch there in traffic. It looked like it might sneak over his head there, but hanging in and hanging on was Reinhardt.
Oh, the ball was caught by the receiver, Lau. It popped right out of his hands. That's a very unfortunate thing for Lau because he actually did a pretty good job of grabbing the ball, or not grabbing the ball, but popping it right back up. And Reinhardt happened to be the guy lucky enough to be standing around.
Right place, right time, definitely right there.
Now I put the Armstrong offense back on the field.
Not quite as good a field position as the first time, but still plenty good at their own 45-yard line. And this time Marshawn Jones was there and immediately swallowed that play up as Olsen took the handoff, and he will lose a yard or two on that play. Marshawn Jones said, all right, we've been kind of blocked quite a bit here, not this time.
Well, that's what they're, again, Armstrong hasn't shown the ability to throw the football yet, and Park Center's just, they got to do the same thing Armstrong's doing with them, just jam things in there.
Got a flag down before this play can commence. It looks like it'll be against the offense. Offsides against the Falcons. They'll usually give you a little leeway if you step up to the line and you're a little over, but they were apparently stayed over and lined up that way.
Yeah, encroachment or offsides is high school football is about the only place you see that call because of the rule that nobody can penetrate the neutral zone. Usually you see that with the defense, but sometimes with the offense they're not paying attention to where the ball is.
And off to Olsen, and there's Jones again, wrapping him up high and throwing him down.
Marshawn Jones made a couple of nice plays here in this possession, forcing a third and quite long.
And you don't know for sure if they're just executing better, or maybe they've figured some things out a little bit, coach. Staff-wise, watching from up top too.
Yeah,
and they've done a much better job this time around.
Yeah, they're getting across the line of scrimmage pretty well, and they're hitting every seam. That's what they need to do.
Svensson throwing for Poster over the middle and incomplete, too high. Wilkins on the coverage. And so now Armstrong will be forced into a punting situation. Poster asking for an interference call, but I don't think you were going to get that one.
No, that ball was 5 feet over his head.
So Jager on to punt. Wilkins waiting back deep here for Park Center. Much better defensive showing that time for PC. Wilkins will have to chase it on the bounce, takes it at the 18. And they'll just have to get what he can here going up forward to about the 26-yard line. So Pirates get the football back here with 1:49 to go in the first and trailing at 7-0. They got a little bit going the second time they had the ball with Richards, and they'll try and see if they can't put a drive together here a little bit more.
And we can see that Wilkins does a nice job of corralling the football on the bounce and getting a few yards, getting 6-7 yards, but that puts them in better field position than they've had for their third possession now at the 26.
Here's the first down play for Park Center. Brown turns and gives to Richards, and he is dropped immediately there as Schreiner got to him. Short loss on the play, in fact. So 2nd and 11 coming up here for Park Center as we're down under 1.5 minutes to play in this first quarter. Brown looking to throw, firing out left side and incomplete as he went for Stephen Iobamadelli there. Bring up a 3rd and long here for Park Center. I think fair to say, probably for both teams, passing game a work in progress at this point.
Yeah, at the very best. We've got both teams have inexperienced quarterbacks, and Jamal Brown's a junior, hasn't played, before, so it's a big learning curve for him.
Does a nice job handling a high snap and gets a nice throw out into the flat, complete. And it's going to be enough for the first down as he's able to hook up there with Nelson Flores. And a gain of about 14 for the Pirates. So they come up with a nice throw and catch here. Brown stood in there despite the rush coming.
Yes, he did. And he got a nice ball off, hit the receiver right where he wanted to, and the receiver, Flores, does a really nice job of making a move back to the inside and getting the yardage needed for the first down. So that's a very nice pitch and catch. And they're going to need to do that regularly tonight. They aren't going to be able. That's not going to have to be a one-time affair. They're going to have a lot more than that.
Handoff going to the fullback this time, and a tough physical run by Vang. Or excuse me, not Vang, but Debs handling it.
We're going to see a lot of people going in and out for both teams tonight. Debs primarily a defensive player, but fills in at one of the running back spots.
Might have been the last play of the quarter here. We're under 10 seconds to go, and Park Center doesn't have to snap, and it looks like they will not get it off before the quarter ends. So we've played one quarter here at Armstrong High School. Our score after one, Falcons 7, Pirates nothing. More football coming up on 12 Sports.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back here to Armstrong. Falcons leading at Park Center by a score of 7-0 as you get a look at some of the crowd on hand here. There was a huge crowd last week, of course, when they played Cooper over here, and the fans on this side were happy for most of the night until Cooper ended up scoring a touchdown late to beat them, but it was a heck of a football game. Park Center with the football to begin the second quarter, and they've got a second down and about 8 at their 43-yard line. Brown will turn and hand it off. Richards squeezing through there. He almost got all the way through, but wrapped up, dragged down at about the 46.
That's the second or third time he's been brought down right before he gets into the opening. You see right there, he's not big enough to drag two guys, but he is fast enough to run away from them.
Evgen, I think, was the one hanging around the legs there for Armstrong. So 3rd and 4 coming up here for Park Center. Brown working out of the gun. Looking to throw into the flat, a diving try, but incomplete. He left it a little bit short for Wilkins. It's where you want to throw it, but just it needed a little bit more on that. He was definitely open. You want to keep it low and away from the defenders, but didn't get quite enough arm on that one to get it to him. And so Park Center presumably will be forced to punt here.
One of the things that Jamal Brown, I heard Coach Strong talking to him in the warm-up, was telling him, just throw the ball. Just throw the ball. Don't think about it. Just throw it.
Flores on to punt. There is a flag down on the play. It's going to bounce inside the 20 and down to about the 13. I suspect this is going to be on the offense, though, and they may make him re-kick. Flag fell pretty much right away, so you'd probably be thinking formation. Well, maybe not. Yeah, they are bringing him back. Yep. Legal formation is correct, so Park Center will be forced to kick again here as they got a pretty good result out of that. So Armstrong, I don't think too much of a hard decision to make them kick that one again.
Yeah, because with that punt, again, the penalties. Coach Strong talked to us about that. The penalties, here's another 5-yard penalty, but takes the ball from being very deep in the Armstrong territory, with essentially flipping the field from where they had been earlier in the first quarter.
Flores, the punter. Svensson waiting back on the 30. And we're going to see a timeout requested by Park Center right here. I'm sure if they didn't have everybody they wanted out on the field, that would be my guess there. So take a timeout and get things squared away. And that's one of the things that, you know, it's a secondary thing to think about, but when you have injuries and things like that too, that's a lot of times where that's going to show up is, oh, that's right, so-and-so is on the punt team or the punt return team or whatever.
Exactly, and that's where you get very frustrated with how things move around. And it's one of the frustrating parts about having injuries is that you might have a guy that's injured and you say, okay, fine, we got him replaced here, and then somebody got to remember that, oh yeah, we've got to clean up all the kicking teams as well.
Good snap. Flores gets it away, a low liner. And Svensson doesn't dare try and field it, so it will be down on the 25-yard line. 34-yard punt, no return, so Park Center got almost as good a result as they had the first time there. You know, it wasn't a thing of beauty, but those are pretty tough to try and return, though.
Right, when that ball's bouncing around on, you know, after a punt like that, you just got to let it go. And the low line drive punt's the hardest one. It's a hard one to field because you don't know how far it's going to go in the air, and then when it hits the ground, it usually just takes off, bouncing, and it bounces odd.
Particularly on a wet night like this, too, you really don't want to take a chance in that spot. So 1st down and 10 here for Svensson and the Armstrong offense. They looked good the first time they had it, not as good the second. Here is Olsen with a nice hole, and he is brought down on a physical tackle there by Debs, but a nice gainer there on 1st down of about 6 for maybe 7 for Olsen and the Falcons. He's already lugged it 11 times here in this first quarter.
He's going to be the workhorse tonight.
First quarter plus.
Yep.
Going to go back to the ground to Olsen, stepping around to tackle. A flag is down right in the middle. Looks like it'll be a hold probably against Armstrong here.
That would be what we usually think. A flag came from the umpire. So that'll be a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Oh.
So they march him back 10 here, and Armstrong, after a promising start to the drive, will now be second and about 13. Svensson fakes, spins out of there, looking to throw, and fires and hits. The poster not able to hang on. He was thinking about getting his feet down in bounds and just didn't look it in. Well thrown ball, but he ends up with the drop.
Yep. Poster does a nice job of getting to the ball. A nice thrown ball, but right at the last second, Poster takes his eyes off of it and goes right to the floor. Makes it 3rd and about, what, 3rd and 13 now.
Svensson looking to throw. Under a little bit of pressure, he's going to tuck it up and run, and he takes a hard hit as he crossed the 25 to about the 27. So he'll get a few yards, but obviously not nearly enough. That, boy, it'd be interesting to look, Bill, how many times, you know, overcoming a holding penalty when you're, especially when you're primarily a running team, is difficult.
It's very, very hard, and that's you know, one of the things when, again, with the inexperienced people at various spots, it makes some things very challenging for those kids.
Jaeger has this one go off the side of his foot, and it will go out of bounds. Not a very long kick there. It's only made a 15-yard punt. And so Park Center, great field position. They'll have it at the 42-yard line of Armstrong.
Yeah, so they've essentially flipped the field now from the first quarter. And this is an opportunity for their offense, which hasn't done much, admittedly, this season, that they can get a drive together here, 42 yards, put the ball in the end zone. They're going to be obviously right back in the game.
Brown will go with the toss to Richards. Richards getting to the edge and brought down on a nice ankle tackle there by Lucas Miernicki.
A nice block. Fullback Josh Yang did a nice job of opening that seam up and getting Richards into the secondary.
Didn't get quite as much as it looked like he was initially going to get. He got about 4.5 yards though, so 2nd down and 6 here for PC. Still a positive play, obviously, though, on that first down opportunity. Fake to Richards, they throw it, it's complete, and right up the gut. Running it there is Io Bomadelli. Nice little kind of slip screen there for Park Center, and they'll have it first down at the 24-yard line, so about a 14-yard pickup.
That's a really nice slip, what we call a slip screen, where the receiver slips in from the outside back over to the middle, as you said, Jay. But you see he's got 4 linemen downfield in front of him and gets a really nice gain out of that. And that's a relatively safe pass to throw. And Brown and Ayabamadeli did a really nice job of getting hooked up together.
First down, here is the handoff to Richards, and he stumbled. He might have collided a little bit with his quarterback as he was going down. Michael O'Malley was there, but he was really falling on his own at that point.
Looked like he tripped over the 25-yard line.
See the handoff. Might have clicked. I think Brown did click his heel a little bit, possibly, as he was coming by. And now we have an injured player for Park Center, looks like.
I don't know who that is.
It went down in a kind of a strange way, almost like it was.
Yeah. Looked like it was Marshawn Jones.
There'll be a 2nd and 9 play coming up here for Park Center. Nearing the midpoint of the second quarter. Armstrong leading at 7-0, but Park Center on the march. And we're going to have a delay of game here against Park Center. So they'll be pushed back 5. They had to sub someone in, and I think that took longer than it should have, and that threw off their getting that play called into the line and snapping. That's where.
So again, I'm going to probably wear people out with it tonight, but again, another 5-yard penalty that shouldn't happen. Happens, and it puts you in a really tough spot.
Brown looking to throw down the sideline, and did he catch it? Yes, interception is made, and a great grab there, getting up, and Besic able to hang on despite landing hard on the ground. Reads this one very well, jumps, makes the catch, and you saw his foot was cut out. That was the point where I thought, did he hang on as he hit the ground, and he did. A similar play right there to what Cooper beat Armstrong with last week from a little bit farther out on the field. But this time Besic making the good read and good play, and
does
comes
a nice
over
job.
and makes the pick.
Yeah, he does a nice job of playing the ball and what we call high pointing the ball, getting up and making the catch. Watch how high he gets up right there, makes the grab at the height of his jump, which is exactly what you want your D-backs to do. That was picture perfect.
Now they are pinned deep like Park Center was their first possession, though. They're at the 8-yard line. Gonna throw it out into the flat, gets it to Poster. And they tossed out of bounds. I'm sorry, not Poster, but make that Emmanuel Nathan 13 rather than 14 on that grab, and get him a little bit of breathing room here as he is going to be out to the 17 or so. So actually a pretty good pickup on that first down play. They won't quite have enough for the first down, but
a little bit more than it looked like initially, but he got a couple of steps up the sideline before he was forced out of bounds.
So 2nd and a yard after the nice completion to start it out here for the Falcons. Going to do the same thing the other way. Oh, and a hard hit delivered by Peel as he got there immediately. And nothing doing that time for Nathan. See where they'll spot this. He's going to lose 4 or 5 on that play.
Yeah, that's a big loss on 2nd down. Peel does a really nice job. That's the challenge at throwing short when you have what are called press corners, where the corner is right up in the face of the receiver. Is very tough to complete that kind of a pass.
Going to go to the ground this time. It's Poster taking the handoff, and a nice gainer. He crossed him up a little bit there, brought down by Howard, and it will be a first down with ease for Armstrong as they pick up about 10. Only the second time we've seen Poster handle it as a running back in the backfield. We said earlier, primarily a receiver, but got some talents to work with back there as a setback as well. First and 10 here for the Falcons. Svensson will go back to Poster on a sweep to the right side. Driving forward there as he's met by Bailey and Schnobrick. And he will pick up a nice chunk, about 8 or 9 on that one. Again, well blocked. That Armstrong line has mostly done a pretty good job tonight.
Yeah, they've really done a pretty consistent job of getting seams for their running backs.
Back to Poster left side this time. He was forced outside immediately, but he'll get a nice gain before Bailey rides him down up high. And we do have a flag down out on the edge there, though.
It might be a hold. It looked like that was going to be a. It was going to be a. Yep. They're going to bring that one back. That was right on the line of scrimmage, so it's a 10-yard penalty. Going to push them back to make instead of a 2nd and 3, going to be a 2nd and 11.
So we've seen each team hurt themselves some with penalties this evening. Svensson fakes, rolling to the right, throwing, and incomplete as he looked to hook up there with Nathan. Kind of a tough throw on the run there, but they had what they were looking for, but it just couldn't thread it into that window.
Exactly, and it looked like Svensson was, did a good job of getting out on the flank there, and was pushing the issue. And again, with a more experienced quarterback, one of the things you like to have him do is push the line of scrimmage. By that way, we mean that you have him act like he's going to run, and if he's got green, I always tell the quarterback, if you got green grass out there, run it as far as you can go, because the next time that guy isn't going to float out there. He's going to come up and try to stop you. Then it's going to open your receiver up.
Fakes the handoff. Svensson up the middle, and he's tripped up, but it looks like he'll have enough for that first down. Howard just got a piece of his ankle, or that one would have been bigger yet.
Yep.
As it is, it's a nice gainer of about 13, and first down for the Falcons. Svensson showing his athletic ability a little bit there.
And he wasn't even touched until he got into the linebacker zone. So that looked good right from the get-go. Nice fake to Isaiah Poster as well, kind of hold the linebackers.
This time the give is to Poster, and he is dropped hard. Nice job of penetration there and getting to him by Jared Bradford, who brings him down.
Boy, that's excellent penetration. You see 3 defensive linemen had penetrated at least a yard deep, and Bradford makes a nice pursuit down the line of scrimmage to make that play.
You kind of had an idea when the fullback was knocked about 5 yards backwards into Poster that things might not go well on that play for Armstrong.
There you go.
Bobbled a little bit, but he still gets it to Poster, and here's a nice gain, and the ball comes loose. Poster, I think, got it back, though, as he had it stripped as he got into the secondary there, but able to fall on it himself. We have an injured Armstrong player.
And Poster was lucky that the ball bounced right in front of him, right there, and he's able to pounce right on it.
Forced fumble there by Marshawn Jones, but Poster able to keep it. It's Emmanuel Nathan is the player down on the field for the Falcons, just what they needed, right? I mean, they even before the season started, Coach Negan was saying he hadn't seen anything like this in all the years that he'd coached, from over the summer and everything. And here's Poster running, and then guy falls right onto the back of his leg there. And those are the kind that are just real hard to avoid. You're out there working, you're blocking like you should be, and somebody just falls onto the back of your leg.
That's a tough one, but it looks like he walked off the field under his own power, which is a huge plus for Emmanuel Nathan. He might be done for the night, but at least they're not carrying him off the field with a knee injury.
Yeah, the third down coming up here for Armstrong, 3rd and about 4, as Poster got a nice gainer, including despite the fumble there.
Empty backfield, too.
Svensson throws it out into the flat, and that one will go nowhere, a loss. It looked like it might have almost been short-hopped out there, and as it turns out, they would have been better off had it been, because they lost yardage on that throw to Tandy.
And if it was actually a backward pass, if it bounces, that's not an incompletion. That's just a bouncing lateral.
So Jager comes on to punt. Wilkins drifting back to receive it here. Jager last time up kind of shanked it. Set Park Center up in good field position. And delay of game. I don't know what they're doing there.
No.
Oh, going to be a. Did they get a timeout before it, or no? It looks like it will be a delay game. Let's go down to Allie now with an injury update.
Guys, we saw Emmanuel Nathan get helped off the field, but he did so on his own accord. Trainers had him do some sprints on the sideline. He did absolutely great. They gave him the go-ahead, so it should be just a couple plays till he gets back in.
Good news for Armstrong. Thanks very much, Allie. And so it looks like they were granted a timeout prior to what would have been a delay of game penalty there, since they're back at the 40-yard line getting ready to snap it here. Bill, you know more than I do as a coach, but what would you be waiting? I mean, you're not really calling a play there. You're just looking to snap it and kick it.
Yeah, that was probably something that occurred on the field, not with the anything coming from the sideline.
Jager punting it, and Wilkins backing away, and this one takes a great bounce all the way down and will be down at about the 7-yard line, as he wasn't willing to take a chance and come up and field that ball, and it really cost them big time.
When it looked to
be about a 53-yard punt, all told.
It looked to my untrained eye that 2 steps forward to make a catch, even if you fair catch it, is a whole heck of a lot better than where that ball is right now. Last time they had the ball this close to the goal line, it really disrupted their offense.
That one could have maybe even gone a little bit further, but I think the Armstrong player mistook the 5-yard line for the goal line, so he grabbed it and felt he had to save it from being a touchback a little sooner maybe than he would have needed to. And now we get a flag down. What are we looking at? Possibly an illegal substitution, or this was really
from something coming in from the sideline.
This was before anybody, before they lined up at the line of scrimmage. So
I don't know if something was said from the sideline or something happened on the sideline.
Illegal substitution.
Yep, that's something from the sideline. And 12th guy. As much as you might like to have that 12th guy out there.
Well, and strangely enough, it was Armstrong that had somebody sprinting off at the last second on their sideline too. They must have had, but the call obviously goes against Park Center.
You can see Coach Strong very frustrated. Those are frustrating penalties because you're depending on people to get the right people on the field, and if they don't, then it looks bad for everybody.
And before this play can get started, we have a procedure call against Park Center. I guess the only good news is it'll only be half the distance because they're pinned back so deep already.
This is a part of the football field where offensively, this is where it takes some courage. But if you have it and you use it, a really good play action pass can usually break something pretty big here. But you got to have the courage to run it.
Brown is looking to throw, and it's going to go deep down the sideline, and it will be intercepted but out of bounds. So just an incompletion as Yernicki came down with that ball, but was clearly out of bounds.
And Blake Wilkins evidently did not understand what the call was because he was almost standing on the line of scrimmage when the ball was launched and wasn't even able to get anywhere close to it.
They didn't really fool Armstrong either by throwing deep out of the end zone. So be second down and long coming up here for Park Center. Brown will work under center this time. Richards is the setback. And guess what? Another flag. This looks like delay a game against the Pirates. Wow, went from bad to worse here.
Yeah, and again the penalty bug is really hitting them hard again tonight. Coach Strong said last week they had 22 penalties called against them. And these little procedure penalties are just backbreakers.
Handoff goes to Richards, and a big gap initially. Wrapped up and brought down just out over the 10. So they will get about 10 on that play, but still not anywhere near the first down, obviously, but well blocked. Little trap block there. And so a 3rd and 7 coming up here for Park Center.
That was a well executed play. And again, if you don't have those penalties and you get that play, you're just about got a first down.
Brown will hand it to Richards. Richards cutting it back, weaving to the outside. Nice stiff arm. Down the sideline he goes, and finally brought down out of bounds at about the 38. So pickup of 27 on that play for Malcolm Richards.
And Malcolm Richards does a nice job of seeing where the seam opened, then using his speed and his right hand to get himself free. And once he got out on the flank, he was gone.
2 minutes remaining, so they get a lot of breathing room. Now you're thinking changes a little bit when you get that big of a gainer. You can maybe think to be aggressive here.
Yep.
Brown dropping the throw, rush coming, got away from one, but he won't escape the next as he is wrapped up as another injured player looks like here. Schreiner in on that stop. And it looks like O'Malley is.
O'Malley. He's holding his hand. What if he took a tumble right when he went past Jamal Brown. I don't know if he landed awkwardly on his hand or something like that. But he was in some noticeable discomfort for a moment there and appears to be shaking it off.
Loss of 4 on that sack, so 2nd and long coming up here for Park Center as they wind the clock. Brown will give it to Richards, and he has met a nice, strong tackle. Wozniak's had a few of those here tonight.
Yes,
he has come to play here for Armstrong. 6'2", 219 and a junior, and he lowered the boom on Richards right there. A pickup of 2.
Again, that's a good fill by the linebacker when it looked like Richards was going to have a seam to run in. Wozniak closed it right down.
Ticking down toward a minute to go here. Depending on what happens on this play, you may very well see a timeout taken. If Armstrong gets a quick stop, they probably would use one. And
absolutely, and try to get the ball back in some kind of decent field position.
Brown throwing, Wilkins is wide open. It's complete on a first down into Park Center territory. Down to the 43-yard line. Pickup of 20. Nice slant there for PC, and they're in business with that first down.
Boy, and Jamal Brown does a nice job of catching the snap and getting his feet set and throwing the ball right on the money for Wilkins.
Park Center elects not to use a timeout there, so the clock winds after they move the chains. Each team's got a couple timeouts left. Brown looking to throw, wants a screen as he dumps it off to Richards. Richards breaking through the first wave, trying to rip the ball free, and he will have enough for a first down, it would appear, as he is down at about the 32.
But another nice screen. Malcolm Richards doing a nice job finding his way upfield. Good defense to try to strip the ball, but
and now the Pirates go ahead and use that timeout. So they've got one left, 27 seconds to go, and they've got the ball first down at the 31. Boy, how this drive has changed. They were backing themselves up with penalties. They were on the shadow of their own goal line, and all of a sudden a couple of big plays. The run by Richards, the completion of Wilkins, and look how the field has turned here. Now the question is, will they have enough time to do something with it?
Yeah, you've got time for about 3, maybe 4 plays, depending on what they do and how long the play takes. But the one thing that they want to be very aware of is where they are on the field and where they put the ball. If the ball goes up the middle of the field, they're going to use a timeout sooner than if they're out on the sideline. But they really kind of pushed Armstrong's defense back a little bit here, obviously, because it looked like they were going to start that series. When they moved themselves back, it looked like they were back in the parking lot when they started the series.
Brown looking to throw, fires down the sideline and tipped away. Bessick wanted to have a replay of that earlier one. He got up, but this time just able to get one hand on it and knocks it down.
Yeah, that would have been a tough one to complete anyway, but Bessick does a really nice job of getting up and making the play. He's got some physical stature there to do that at 6 feet 3 inches tall.
My brother was a great offensive lineman for this Falcons team last year, Malik. Pass complete to Wilkins, but a good tackle getting to him immediately there was Tandy for Armstrong, and that's going to force Park Center to use a timeout. So it was a completion, but they didn't get a lot out of it, and they get stopped in the field of play. Nice job by Tandy.
Yeah, Christopher Tandy does a good job because that's that slip screen again, and he's got to get that ball and then get behind the lineman really quickly. Tandy does a good job of running that thing down from behind.
3rd and 6 at the Armstrong 27. 17 seconds left now and no more timeouts remaining for Park Center.
What they've really, with that slip screen now, what they've got set up is to run the what's called a wheel route behind it. Fake the slip screen, let the corner bite on that, and the inside receiver then just arcs out up the sideline. And if the safety comes up, which the safety has done the last 2 times they've run that slip screen, then you've got a real opportunity to hit a wide open receiver and get a score.
3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right here for Park Center. Brown dropping to throw, throwing out on the flat to Richards. He's got it, gets a block. Richards down the sideline, going to be tossed out of bounds inside the 15. And they will have a first down. There's only 10 seconds left. But he did get out of bounds.
I got time for 2 plays. And if you get the ball out of, now you can't get the ball in the middle or you're going to run out of time. But they've got to remember that they've got a really good kicker. We were watching the kicker during warm-ups. He was hitting the ball from 40, 45 yards out. So he's definitely got the leg to make a field goal from here. And I think with this drive, having started where they did and with the time on the clock, they've got to come away with some points here.
1st and 10 on the 13, but not much time left. Brown looking to throw, throws to Richards, complete in the flat. Richards trying to break a tackle, but time's going to run out if he doesn't get in.
Yeah, it's done.
And they will stop him at about the 2. However, they stop it for the first down, but it's still not going to be enough time,
yeah,
I don't think.
They've got to be on the line and snapping the ball when he sets the ball in play. No, they're going to run the field goal team. Oh, now they're going to get really nailed.
And the clock starts, and it will run out on Park Center. They were kind of just caught in a hard place. There's really no way to get that play off at that point. So the clock ticks down to 0, and Armstrong dodges a bullet. Wow, Park Center drives the ball. It didn't start out there, but it ended up on their own 1-yard line and ended up going all the way down inside the 5, but they run out of time. Great drive for them, but at the same time disappointed that you don't end up with the points out of it.
Right, and how many times in your lifetime can you have a 97-yard drive and not get any points?
Let's go down to the sideline now. Allie standing by.
Thanks, Jay. Coach, a lot of this game being played in the middle of the field. How do you guys kind of push and try to creep towards the red zone in the second?
No, we got to quit killing ourselves with penalties. We're not playing discipline, and it's sloppy, and it's a little frustrating right now, so we got to clean up all that other stuff.
Your lone goal scorer, your replacement at the running back position, now looks to be out with a right shoulder injury. He's got ice on that shoulder. How do you guys cope with that in the second as well?
Same story, different day. We just got to figure it out and keep fighting. I mean, it's happened all year, so we're going to keep going.
Good luck, Coach. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Allie, and obviously you're kind of hearing it a little bit in Jack Nigan's voice. It's been a bit of a struggle both tonight and coming into this one, but that's all part of it as high school football, and those kind of things happen. So his team is ahead by a score of 7-0, and thankfully for the band, things have dried out a little bit from what we had earlier tonight, and here comes the Armstrong Marching Band. Let's enjoy them right now. Nice job by the Armstrong Marching Band here as they perform at halftime of our football game in the Suburban Red District. It is Armstrong 7, Park Center nothing at halftime. We will be back with our first half highlights and hear from Park Center's Coach Strong and more here on 12 Sports.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Turned out to be a pretty nice night for football after a lot of rain pregame here as Armstrong leads Park Center 7-0 at halftime. As we look at some of our first half highlights as the Armstrong dance team takes the field with their future dancers as well, the young kids. The first half has started out well for Armstrong. Svensson handing off here to Isaiah Poster, weaving his way down close to the goal line. And then they finish off the drive. It was a good first drive. Offensive line did well, and Elliot Olson finishing it off, although he was banged up later, but scores what's been the only points of the first half. That came about halfway through the first quarter. Here's Malcolm Richards on the run. Wozniak, one of his solid tackles for Armstrong. And then Brown throwing. This was kind of a fluke. It was batted up by the receiver and then held on to by Jack Reinhardt for the interception. And then Brown throwing, completing that little screen. Io Bomadelli working his way down. Park Center, as the half went on, moved the ball fairly well at times, but then a couple of turnovers. This one a great interception by Bessick to halt that drive. And then Svensson, a nice run as he faked a handoff, tucks it up, and spun his way out to a first down there for Armstrong. Late in the half, Park Center was pinned deep in their own territory, but they got out with a great run there, starting with Malcolm Richards, went about 27 yards up the sideline. And then they get a nice completion going to Wilkins up the middle, and all of a sudden they're kind of in business. Ended up getting the ball all the way down inside the 5-yard line. But here's how it ended. Richards is stopped at about the 2 or 3, and then they stopped the clock to move the chains, but they only had 1 second, and they couldn't get another play off in time. So you get a look at the first half stats. Park Center actually much the better, and Armstrong's only completed 3 passes, and 2 of them were for negative yards. And Park Center, though, hurting themselves with a couple of turnovers, and penalties have been an issue for both of the teams as well. So a 7-0 lead, but still much to be decided here in this second half. It is the Falcons leading the Pirates by 7. We'll be back here to Armstrong High School in just a moment.
Every time I hear the alarm bell go off in school, I think it's an air raid.
A lot of houses in our neighborhood have been destroyed.
I like to close my ears and sing songs whenever the bombs come close.
I'm worried our new neighbors won't like us.
But I know it's all gonna be worth it.
I just want my family to be safe.
But these are not my words.
These are not my words.
These are not my words.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
This is the moment I knew his future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
And welcome back here to Armstrong High School. The Falcons leading Park Center by a score of 7-0. Some other games happening with area teams tonight. Edina and Hopkins tied up at 14 apiece. Champlain Park trailing Blaine, but 17-13. A pretty good ball game over at Champlain Park. Blaine undefeated coming into that one. Maple Grove is down 21-3 against Eden Prairie in that contest. And Osseo trailing Totino Grace by a score of 21-7. Wayzata trailing Minnetonka by a score of 10-7 in the battle for the Bay Bell. And there's a familiar face on the sideline there. That is the elder Marion Barber, one of the coaches for the Armstrong Falcons. Gopher great NFL player, and obviously had a couple of sons that played for the Gophers and did pretty well, and they're in the NFL, played in the NFL, and then also his youngest now, Thomas, a freshman with the University of Minnesota. So pretty good history in football family there.
Pretty good gene pool, one would think.
Park Center a little bit late coming back out onto the field here, and a lot of the schools, you know, it's a little different situation where they have an opportunity to huddle or meet under the stands at some of the stadiums now. Not this one, that's not the case. So they got the more traditional longer journey back out to the all the way to the school and then back out. Interesting to see what the officials do here. Are they going to give Park Center some more time to warm up, or are they not? I don't think in general that's not what usually happens. Let's go down to Allie with Coach Strong.
All right, Coach, those penalties and turnovers continue to plague the offense. What's the disconnect there?
The kids are just anxious, and, he's just kind of frustrated at himself, so we're good.
What did you tell them in the locker room to kind of help them get above water here in the second and put some points on the board? I just told them just keep playing. It's a great game. We're getting stops. Don't turn the ball over and don't get penalties, and we'll be good. Very much so a defensive game. Good luck in the second, Coach. Thank you. All right, back to you guys.
Thanks, Allie. And like we talked about at the end of the half, Bill, even though it doesn't end up in points for Park Center, they had to feel pretty good about the string of plays they were able to put together late in that second quarter.
Yeah, they actually put together, like I said, right at the halftime, they put together a 97-yard drive, which usually is going to result in something other than a goose egg on the board. And they've got to build on that, and they've got to take their defense right now. They're kicking the ball at the beginning here. Their kickoff team has got to cover it, and their defense, if their defense gets a 3-and-out right away and gets the ball back to their offense, they can build on that momentum. The defense will add some momentum to the offense, and they can make it happen. I'm just a little bit surprised that they put some time back on the clock to let Park Center warm up here.
See what we'll have for you next week here on 12 Sports. Wayzata playing at Maple Grove. And Trojans a little bit of a slow start this year. Maple Grove won their first couple, then lost a tough one-pointer against Edina, and it looks like at least at present they are on the short end against Eden Prairie. So things change, people graduate, and obviously these two teams know what that feels like too.
Absolutely, and Maple Grove has got some really good players. We saw them earlier in the season in their opening game. They looked really good, but when you got to go back to back in that section that they're in, where you've got Minnetonka, Eden Prairie, Edina, and then Wayzata all back to back to back. That's a tough road to hoe for everybody, for both sides. We've seen Eden Prairie take a lump here and there.
Totino Grace beat Eden Prairie, of course, to start this season, and beat them in the playoffs last year as well. Might be a little too early to say that Eden Prairie's done, though, I think.
You don't count them out until that last game has been played, that's for sure. But it seems like the way things are set up right now, that every team is playing a team that's comparable to them every week. And I think that's the ideal in high school football. You want to be challenged every day, and I think that's excellent.
That was the idea of switching to the districts for football. Let's do our best to match up teams of not necessarily exactly the same school size, although that's obviously a big factor. Yeah. But also, looks like they must have given Park Center a delay of game penalty for coming out so late.
Yep.
Interesting.
Gave him 10 yards, so. But it's tough when you get a penalty at halftime. It's bad enough to get penalties while you're on the field of play, but get a penalty at halftime. That's
So Sean Lee will kick it away here, and Armstrong should get good field position, you would think. So we have, the only thing we can figure is that has to be Park Center delay a game for coming out so late. Got a pretty good leg into it, taken on about the 18-yard line by Poster. Comes up the middle, fought through an arm tackle there. They're ripping at that ball. They did succeed in pulling it out once against him, although he got it back himself. Isaiah Poster will bring it out to the 45-yard line, so great position here to get another look at that run back. Chin strap dangling there as he comes upfield and
takes a pretty good hit.
And Poster is kind of hobbling, it looks like, as he comes toward the sideline as well. Wow, how many more guys can be struggling with injury?
Yeah, that's and we just found out right at the halftime that Elliot Olson is dinged with a shoulder injury. May not be affecting him for very long, but it's certainly going to keep him out of the rest of the game tonight. So now we're now at the fifth running back for Armstrong.
They will start on the 45. The good news for them is they do have a pretty good O-line, though.
Yeah, those guys have held together.
Handoff going up the middle, and this one will be about a 4 or 5 yard surge on first down as Jackson Forkpay taking that handoff as he gets his first work out there.
Jackson Forkpay is he's going to be able to hide behind that offensive line because he's about a foot shorter and 100 pounds smaller than most of the guys on that offensive line at 5'4" and 153 pounds.
Little toss out, complete to Nathan, and he is wrapped up immediately and brought down. Boy, we've said Rudy Peel's name quite a bit tonight for a cornerback.
Yes. Yeah, he's been involved in some really good plays, and again, he plays this very well. Fights off the block and does a very nice job of bringing the receiver down.
Short loss on the play. Armstrong's had one nice completion to Nathan, but their other completions have been for minus yards on plays very similar to that. 4 receivers set here, 3rd down and 5 for Svensson. Fakes it to Forkpay. He's going to run it himself. Svensson will have the first down and more into the secondary. And Svensson finally spun down at about the 15-yard line as he'll pick up 35 on the gainer.
Well, that's a really nice run by Nick Svensson here as he gets into the linebacker zone and just uses his speed. We didn't really know anything about Svensson as a runner, but he's got some good athletic ability and makes the most out of that play. That's excellent.
On the 15, he fakes the handoff again and will run it. Breaks through a tackle. Svensson trying to get to that end zone, and he is in for the touchdown. Showing a little bit of toughness there as well as he ran right through a tackle attempt. And Svensson, once he got near that goal line, he really wanted to keep running and get there, and he does.
He makes every effort here, and this is well done. Good pull and trap block by the left guard to get Svensson into the linebacker zone.
So Jaeger will come on to attempt the extra point. Armstrong started the first half strong. They begin the second half strong as well. And they will try and tack on the extra point here as they get a late joiner to the play again. A little bit of a low snap, but handled well, and Jaeger gets the kick up and through. So with 10:13 to go here in the third quarter, it's 14-0 Armstrong, courtesy of this run.
Boy, Svensson does a nice job of breaking a tackle at the line of scrimmage and runs right out of the arms of Blake Wilkins, right at the goal line, right there.
Good awareness of where that line was too. He made sure that he fell, forward enough.
Yes. Well, and that gives Armstrong at least a little bit of a cushion, and for their defense here to not necessarily take a breather, but a 2-score lead is very, very nice to have, especially when your defense has been playing relatively well. And Park Center really is going to have to get themselves together. The offensive line is going to have to figure it out and make some plays here. They moved the ball so well that last possession. They've really got to try to build on that and use that as a stepping stone to making something happen here in this possession. They're going to have to get the ball not only downfield, but they have to get it in the end zone.
Jaeger kicking it, and he gets this one deep into the end zone, so no opportunity for a run back there. And it will be Park Center football on the 20-yard line here as they now trail by 2 scores at 14-0. So Brown and company will try and build on that big drive that ended the first half, as we said.
And see if they can mix up their run and pass plays and put the Armstrong defense on their heels.
Handoff goes to Richards. Richards cutting it back and has some space into the secondary before he is dragged down. Schreiner catching up to him, but nice gainer obviously on the first play of the series here for Park Center as they will pick up 18.
Yeah, Leo Schreiner came all the way to the left-hand side of the field from his right defensive end position, so he had to run a long ways to make that play. Good gain for Park Center, though.
Brown under pressure, gets to the edge, and dances out of bounds right around the line of scrimmage. Might have had a short gainer there.
Well, that was a very mature play by a young quarterback to just take the ball and run and not try to force it upfield. He knew he wasn't going to get much of a play, but it's better to have the ball than to turn it over or make a bad throw or something like that.
2nd and 9 here for PC. Brown will hand it to Richards, and he is stacked up immediately. Boy, the Falcons blew that play up. There were a couple guys. Darius Clausell got there, didn't really get most of the tackle, but he helped to blow things up. And,
right.
And Reinhardt helped to finish it off.
Now there were 2 or 3 people that came through. Good penetration right there. As you said, Darius Clausell being the first guy through, getting right through the A seam between the guard and the center, and making a play deep in the backfield.
And Clausell, one of those guys who's injured but able to play through it with a fractured hand. He made some nice plays against Cooper last week. He's got a serious wrap on that right arm.
It's like a club.
3rd and 11. Brown throwing. It's complete. Nice cut to the outside, but there are just too many red jerseys there, and they're going to be able to keep this one contained, and not nearly enough for the first down for Park Center. So they'll pick up about 7, but a punting situation as Flores coming on to punt here for the Pirates. Svensson drifting back to receive here for Armstrong. Gets the punt away. It's a knuckler. Svensson coming up and will take it on the run at the 31. Thrown down pretty quickly by Peel, but you talked about earlier being willing to, you got to be willing to get in there and catch the ball, and that's what he did.
Yeah, you got to catch that. Again, that ball hits and bounces and goes another 20 yards. You're way deep in your own zone. It makes no sense. Get up and catch the ball. You know.
They'll have it at the 35-yard line, 1st and 10. Armstrong now leading 14-0, and see if they can continue looking sharp as they did offensively, even though they've lost a couple more running backs here tonight, as it looks as though it's going to be Forkpay to be the guy again right now. Poster limped off a moment ago, and Olsen went out with that shoulder injury first half. Hand off to Forkpay this time, and he is thrown down, wrapped up by big defensive lineman Samson Bella. 245-pounder got the better of that one and threw him down after a short pickup. So it'll be a 2nd down and 9 coming up for Armstrong. Fakes the handoff. Svensson's going to keep it. And met after a short pickup there. He'll get a couple out of it.
And that play is the same play that Svensson got a couple of good gainers on, as we see Poster coming back on the field to replace Forkpay. So evidently the cramp or whatever it was bothering Poster is not 100% knocking him out.
3rd and 7. They go with the toss to Isaiah Poster, and he is going to pick up that first down, but a flag is down. This one going to be coming back.
It's going to be a costly one too. You got a hold.
Poster will hobble back off, so they had a nice run, but it's all for naught.
He makes a really nice run. I didn't see where the hold was, but he's really dealing with the cramps. He's got a nasty cramp in his right calf, it looks like. Yeah, maybe both. He was hobbling pretty good.
And kind of a double dose of bad news for Armstrong is that flag happened right around the line of scrimmage.
Right.
So it's, if it had come downfield a little bit, it wouldn't sting quite as much, but they'll lose 10 from near the line. So they got a 3rd and long coming up here, 3rd and about 18. Haven't thrown the ball all that much or all that effectively tonight, certainly. 4 completions.
Now you've got an empty backfield here now, so one would think the ball is going to be launched, but
Svensson's just going to take off and run. I was just thinking this could be quarterback
right
draw.
Yep.
And he breaks free. A weak tackle attempt near midfield. Svensson, one guy can catch him. Nope, he won't. It's a touchdown. 73 yards for Svensson. As right at midfield, the guy had a pretty good shot at him and didn't look like he tried at all to wrap up.
Right. Yeah, right there.
Well,
he got bumped off,
just kind of ran through it. Maybe I was a little too harsh there.
But he does a good job of outrunning Peel and getting a turn right there to get Peel off balance just before the goal line.
Good job. Good job.
That's a great individual effort. You know, an empty backfield, everybody thinks the ball is going to be thrown, and that's a perfect time for a quarterback draw, and they hit the seam perfectly. And you can see Coach Niggin somewhat energetic about that one.
Jaeger on to attempt the extra point, and he booms it through. And with 6:13 to go in the third, this 73-yard quarterback run by Svensson.
Boy, he got a great pair of blocks at the line of scrimmage. That middle of the line, the center and the two guards. Look at how that opens up. And 75, Nick Trump just comes through and opens that thing up. That was really well done. The center and the guard turned to their right and pushed the defensive lineman that direction, and then Trump came around and cleaned up the linebacker. And boy, that was a nicely executed quarterback draw.
So 21-0 lead for Armstrong. Unofficially, we've got Svensson now up to just under 150 yards rushing. Obviously, when you put a 73 in there, it helps quite a bit.
That adds to the average. But you know, now the thing that the Park Center guys have to fight, and they're going to have to fight through it to have any success, is getting the mindset of same old, same old. Here we are, and we're in the game, and then a couple little things happen. Boom, now we're down by 3 touchdowns. And same old, same old.
Jaeger booting this one, and it will be into the end zone. So a touchback, and so the Pirates will start at their 20 again, and little things like having a kicker. We did a flag down on this play as well. Personal foul chop block against Park Center.
Oh.
So they will not start at the 20.
Nope, illegal block below the waist.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, the signal is almost the same for a chop block. But that's a half the distance from the spot, so that means it goes back to the 10-yard line.
So Park Center will get it first down at their 10. Need to make something happen if they're going to have a chance to get back in this one now, down by 3 touchdowns. Brown handing it off. Richards trying to squeeze through there. Fights through a tackler. Richards into the clear and brought down out around the 25-yard line. So nice gainer to start the drive. You know, you look at, they've done some things here and there. Certainly,
absolutely.
Richards has had, he's had a 27-yard run. He's had an 18-yard run, a 15-yarder, but just not been able to overcome the penalties for one.
Right.
And a couple turnovers thrown in the mix as well. Here's the first down and 10 play. Brown play action now, stepping up, throwing on the run, and it is complete. And stopped just after crossing the 30-yard line. Nice grab made there by Jason Comstock, the big tight end.
Yeah, this is a nicely executed, again, a nice executed pitch and catch. Comstock does a good job of getting into the seam, grabbing the ball when it's thrown to him. Getting a nice gain of 7 yards, so 2nd and 3, nice place to be. Got to keep it going.
Give us to Richards and Armstrong all over that one. Fortunate really to keep possession of the ball there.
Yeah.
As Wozniak and Miernicki getting in to stop him after a very minimal pickup, maybe nothing there, it looked like.
Well, it seems that on the plays when the linebackers are hitting the seams on a blitz, even if it's not a called blitz, but they're hitting the seams right at the snap of the ball, Park Center obviously just doesn't get anywhere. And when they get a chance to get Malcolm Richards in the seam, then he can do something.
Pass is complete out on the flat as he's able to find the fullback Dubs. But he'll be short of the first down. Got just a couple yards on this one.
Yeah, this is I don't know if it's decision time or tough decision now for Coach Strong, but if they're gonna go for it, this is a tough spot on the field to go for it, and particularly with more than 3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter.
They're looking as though they are intending to go for it here. Fourth down and a yard. They're on their own 33, but now down by 21 points. They might be feeling like time's an issue enough that they need to go for it here, and they are going to go for it, and they will get the first down with ease as they go straight up the middle to the fullback, and a burly one he is, as Howard, 5'8", 230, a linebacker, but in there as the fullback that time, and boy, did he pick it up with ease.
Yeah,
got about 14 yards right up
Terrell
the gut.
Howard does it, and that's a well executed play. They had it looked like they had a really stacked backfield in there. They had 3 running backs in there with the quarterback, and typically you think, well, you're going to use the 2 big guys as the blockers, and they gave it to the first guy through instead of the second or third, and that really popped that play.
Going to go again with the heavy formation here. First down and 10 on the 47. Brown looked like the snap came when he wasn't ready for it. He is able to keep possession and drive forward for maybe a couple yards on the play, but it seemed like the center was the only one moving at that point. Brown took the snap and was clearly surprised by it, but
yes,
still got a couple at least.
That takes some moxie right there, because that's a time when, if the quarterback gets a snap, he's not ready for it. A lot of times that ball goes right back down on the floor, or something bad happens because the other offensive linemen aren't moving. But he made the most of a very bad situation, getting a couple of yards anyway.
Park Center switching from spreading things out a little bit to now just a power set. Here's Richards, takes the the pitch, and down he goes as Tandy got in there to make the stop, and Wozniak cleaned up, but Tandy doing a nice job.
Yeah, Chris Tandy does a nice job of filling in there and really knifed in and made a good, got his body in position and just let the running back trip over him there.
So 3rd and 11 coming up. Brown back into the gun here. Couple receivers set to each side. And Brown is hit as he throws, and that'll force an incompletion. Clausell getting there, not much time at all.
No. And sometimes offensive linemen get it in their head that, well, we got a screen pass set up. I don't have to block anybody until I get downfield, and that's a classic case right there. No, you've got to slow the guy down at the line of scrimmage, make him work to fight upfield, then release and get downfield. Otherwise, you put the quarterback on his back, which we saw right there.
Flores kicking and the rush coming hard, and this time Svensson's not going to be able to field it, and we see what happens as it keeps on bouncing and down inside the 5 at about the 2. And let's go down to Allie now for an injury update.
Yeah, Jay and Bill, we saw Isaiah Poster come off with some cramping issues in both his right and his left calves. The trainers have looked at him. They've decided that he's not cleared to go back in the game, so we will not be seeing him the rest of tonight, but it doesn't look like a long-term issue.
Thanks, Allie. And another injury plague. Poster had trouble with cramps last week against Cooper, too. So, and obviously we're not, talking those 85, 90-degree temps at the beginning of the year. So that, a lot of times you think of that as being heat-related, but that would not seem to be the case tonight.
It's more related to just how the players hydrate. And what has to happen is that on Wednesdays and Thursdays is when players really need to hydrate.
Armstrong pinned deep. Probably Park Center, if they could make a big play here, would go a long way to turning things around a little bit. They're down 21-zip. However, they've pinned Armstrong with that punt down at the 5. And we get a whistle here before the play, and timeout taken by Armstrong. See what Park Center has coming up. They'll get the other Robbinsdale team next week as they play Cooper at home, and that'll be an early start on Friday the 30th, and then they travel to Benilde and St. Louis Park and Irondale to round out the regular season. So we'll be halfway through at this point. You see the Pirates winning big in that first game and then had a little bit of a tough go since. So Armstrong didn't want to snap that without being sure what was going to happen, what the play call is going to be. They'll take that time out and they'll still have a 1st and 10 rather than get moved back even further deep in their own territory. Svensson's going to hand it off. Forkbay, a pretty good hole initially, and then it closes up. He is out to about the 8, it looks like.
They just wanted to get a little bit of space there. Gain of about 2 or 3.
So an empty backfield this time. We'll see if Svensson, if it'll be just a quarterback run again.
See if somebody decides on the defense they're going to watch the quarterback or tackle the quarterback.
And it is exactly that, and he gets a nice initial surge here and will be, looks like just short of the 1st down. Or is he going to get it? Yeah, he is going to get it.
Yeah, they gave him the skid yardage, so to speak. But again, he gets a nice seam, finds the place to get, and gets just enough for the 1st down.
Under 40 seconds to go now in the 3rd quarter, and that was big for Armstrong. They use a little more clock, get a little more breathing room. Even if the drive doesn't do much from here, just to get that 1 first down was pretty big. And another big hole up the middle, and Svensson running. Park Center doing their best to rough him up, but that comes, a good 15 yards downfield.
Right. Now, at some point, somebody on the defense has to recognize, look, they've run this formation 3 times, and only one guy has run the football. Let's figure this out here.
Part of it is just not being able to get off blocks, though, at the line of scrimmage. They're getting turned and really kind of handled.
And that tells me that the linebackers got to get involved at the line of scrimmage. Put some pressure in the A seams. It's fundamental football, and the obvious thing is, well, if you send too many people in the line of scrimmage, then you're leaving something open on the passing. But they haven't shown that they want to throw the ball out of that formation. Why not?
Here's a look at Armstrong, what they have coming up. They go to Irondale next week, and then a difficult one hosting Spring Lake Park on the 7th. Another pretty tough one over at De La Salle, and then they close out the regular season against Benilde here on that. I guess it's not really called MEA anymore, but I still kind of think of it as MEA there, that Wednesday night game. Be a 1st and 10 for Armstrong. 24 seconds left here in the 3rd quarter. Armstrong has scored twice in this period to build a 21-0 lead here on Park Center.
Yeah, we got 4 receivers to the right and 1 to the left.
Svensson wants to go to the left, and he will complete it to Nathan. He breaks a tackle into the Pirates secondary and then brought down from behind by Jones, but all the way down to about the 41-yard line. So a 28-yard pickup here for the Falcons.
Good broken tackle, missed tackle there.
They can let the clock run out in the quarter if they want to, but looks like they're intending to hurry it up there and get another play off, or maybe not. No, they're just going to hold it.
Have a no play and let it run through.
And so we do reach the end of the third. A good third quarter for the home team. Armstrong 21, Park Center nothing. The fourth quarter is up next.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat?
1 in 5 children struggles with hunger in America. Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat?
1 in 5 children struggles with hunger in America. Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Armstrong trying to build on a 21-0 lead. They're in the Pirates territory here. First down and 10 to 41, and Svensson will run another one, and this time doesn't get nearly as much, but still got a little bit of positive yardage there as he was wrapped up by Bella after a gain of a couple. Going to hand it off. Forkpay is wrapped up early on in that play by Ryan Schnobrick. And no gain on the play, it looks like, so bring up a third down and long. Svensson over, long look at the bench to get the play in here, as again they've got 3 or 4 receivers out to the left and 1 back the other way, Nathan, and they went to that single receiver last time. See if they're looking to do so again. Yeah, it's going to be Svensson on the run, and wrapped up well short of the first down there as Bella again in on the stop that time after a pickup of about 3.
So they're going to be 4th down and about 4 here. And I think that this is, you know, even if you don't get the first down here, I think what Armstrong wants to do now the rest of the quarter is just use as much clock as they can every possession, realizing that Park Center may not get the ball enough times to score 3 touchdowns.
Svensson's going to run it as ball pops free. And the Pirates will wind up with it. They were going to have it anyway because of the 4th down situation, but you see good penetration. Schnobrick punches it out.
Yep. Boy, that thing takes a big fly and bounce, and looks like Park Center actually got the ball, which, as you said, Jay, doesn't really matter because they were going to get the ball anyway. But they've got the ball in reasonable field position.
Looks like Peyton Chiamani with the recovery there for the Pirates. So they will get it at the 36-yard line. Although Armstrong did a good job of using, gaining some ground, turning the field a little bit and using some time. Brown looking to throw. Rush coming. He steps through it. Breaks through a attempt at an arm tackle there. And Brown stepping out of bounds. Looks like just shy of the first down. But showing a little bit of mobility right there as he'll pick up 8 or so.
Yeah, he does a nice job of running right out of the grasp of one of the defensive linemen and then using some very good speed to get upfield. I thought he was past the line to gain. It's hard to tell on the far sideline, but a gain of about 8.
Yeah, he must have had one step out of bounds that from here appeared it wasn't.
Right.
Obviously, they're much closer than where we are, but I thought the same thing. So second and a couple here for PC. Go with the handoff, and Armstrong was not fooled by that. The motion man Vang taking the handoff, and not much of a gain, if any, right there.
Again, it's like every thing that we say about the defense. When the defensive line gets some good penetration, it doesn't matter what play you run, it's going to be pretty well broken up because you got somebody in the backfield disrupting things.
So third and about 3 here for Park Center. Down by 3 scores, trying to get a drive going, and they go up the middle to Howard. He is stacked up and not going to get there. Armstrong was caught off guard a little bit by that the first time they ran it, but definitely not that time.
Nope.
He'll gain some, but not enough for the first down.
And he got pretty well stuck in there by Darius Clausel again. Darius stood in there and held his ground pretty well. It's 4th and about 1.
And considering the score and the time, easy decision.
Yeah,
you got to go for it.
You have to go for it because if you don't, you just don't get enough possessions to try to score enough.
Brown going to look to throw it, and it is incomplete. Threw it behind Howard there and low. And so they thought, okay, we're going to fool Armstrong here, and instead of trying to punch it through, they throw, but does not click, and the Falcons will take over on downs at the Park Center 45.
And that's too bad because you can see that Howard was pretty well open, and that catch gets made, that grab gets made, you got the first down.
Well, Hopkins coming up with a big win, and I believe it was their homecoming night tonight, beating Edina 21-14, and Edina coming off a win last week over Maple Grove, so that's a nice win for Coach Den Hartog and crew over at Hopkins.
Right, and that division gets uglier and uglier, doesn't it? Boy, everybody can beat everybody else up there.
Svensson stumbles, but still keeps going, and look at that O-line. They're really continuing to gain some push up front. He'll get about 8. Even though this one got off to kind of a rocky start as he stumbled a little bit while faking the handoff.
Right, this is the offensive line doing a really nice job. Casperson, Mazinski, Trump, Jacobson, and McHenry, all 5 of those guys really coming off the ball very well. I think they realize, we got one thing that's going for us. We got to make it work every time, no matter what.
And the throw, and nearly picked off by Wilkins. Svensson collided in the backfield. Things weren't as designed there on that play fake. And then his throw, he was trying to go to Nathan. You see they went wrong side. Somebody did, either the quarterback or the back, and Wilkins jumped it and almost picked it off.
Well, Wilkins made a nice break on the ball there, got a good angle. If he makes that grab, that turns things around real quickly.
3rd and 3, give to Forkpay, and a huge gap to run through, and he goes stumbling forward inside the 30. He'll get about 9. Extremely well blocked again for Armstrong. There's nobody there.
No, that was well done. Offensive line did a real nice job. They're doing a good job of pulling people. The guards and tackles are pulling and leading very nicely.
Falcons 1st and 10 at the 29. Looks like they are, trying to use as much time as they can between plays here as well, which is smart. Hand off to Forkpay again. Wrapped up and dropped. Howard finished him off after he was hit down low by Kiomani. And he will gain a couple on the play. This obviously too where you've got a coach watching when that ball's chopped into play so that you can let them know when they're down to the time when you need to be thinking about snapping it here. 2nd and about 8 for the Falcons. And Svensson will look to throw, throwing deep downfield in green. Oh, and incomplete as he turned one way, had to turn back the other. That one could easily have been a touchdown. They definitely had the defense beat, but just didn't get the head
Green
around
just couldn't get around to it.
Got an injury for Armstrong now.
Just what they needed.
Yeah, they've had more than enough of that this year. Looks like it could be the big guy, Mochinski.
They're looking at his lower leg. And he had a foot injury that he was recovering from in the summer.
It's the left guard, we believe, 77 in red. Mochinski drifting back, and there's a throw, and it didn't, hard to see what that was there. It didn't seem to be a lot of anybody falling into him or anything.
Maybe somebody stepped on his foot or something. That hurts.
So he's able to get up and walk off there. Be a 3rd and long, 3rd and 9 coming up for Armstrong here as they try and salt away their second win of the year. 6:28 to go in the ball game, and they're up 21-0. Fort Bay takes the handoff, and Schnobrick is there in a hurry and is able to pull him down backward there.
And Svensson takes a pretty good pop right there, too.
A short loss on the play, but if you're Armstrong at that point, you realize that, just hanging on the ball is big right there, just to make, okay, it's a loss, but don't have anything compounded by making a turnover on the play. And looks like now a Park Center player down with an injury. See if we can see, was it the tackler Schnobrick? It is.
Yeah.
And so he made the stop there and then got up right away, but was hobbling.
I think what they've told their players is if you're injured, stay on the field. Even if you're not hurt that bad, stay on the field. You come off, you miss a play, but it won't cost us a timeout or something.
4th down, and Armstrong receiver Young took off early there. 4th and 12. They're in a spot on the field where you're too close to punt, too far to gamble on a field goal. So they're going to try and go for it. And I think they were hoping maybe the other way around and see if they could get a penalty on Park Center to draw.
Yeah, a couple of Park Center guys wiggled along the line of scrimmage. They just didn't get into the neutral zone and create an encroachment.
So 4th and 17 now for Svensson and crew. Low snap, he fires, tipped, and knocked away there as Bailey got out to get a hand on it. The throw was on line for Nathan, but Bailey got it to the seam there and broke it up. So Park Center will get the football back here. 5:54 to go in the ball game. They need something big to happen in a hurry if they're going to have a chance.
Yep, they've got to get going right now and do something that they haven't done in 2 weeks.
Wayzata trailing Minnetonka 24-7 in their battle for the Bay Bell.
That's kind of surprising. Wayzata started to put some things together.
1st and 10 on the 36 here for Park Center. Brown handing it off. Bang. Trying to get to the edge. Broke a tackle, but just too many guys in red get there and wrap him up. Pretty good discipline by it. We haven't probably talked enough about this Armstrong defense tonight. They've done a pretty solid job.
Yeah, they've done very well. They've given up a couple of big plays, a couple of 25-yarders and things like that, but they haven't really. They've done a very good job of stopping things across the entire line of scrimmage, just like we saw there. They stopped the sweep. Previous play, they'd stopped a jam right up the middle.
Brown fakes the handoff, breaks a tackle, but he's not going to break the second one. Coming up to meet him hard there for Armstrong was Tyler Peterson. And Brown will gain the yardage back that they lost, and so it'll be about a 3rd and 10.
One of the things that you get to this point in the game, and you like to think you have the ability to drive the football with a passing game, and really neither team has shown the ability to do that. But when you're down by 3 scores, you can't really come back with just the running game.
Brown firing deep down the middle, juggled and caught. As Mitchell Meyer able to hang on to that one, even despite the bobble initially. So he'll get about 30 yards on this completion.
Yeah, that's really a nice grab.
Brown showing a strong arm on that one too.
Yeah, he put the ball right where it needed to be, and he's impressed me as a new young quarterback. He's done some really nice things tonight. But they just haven't developed any consistency with their offense at all tonight.
Throws complete in the flat to Bailey, trying to get a block going there, and then he runs backward as a flag down on the play. It'll be a hold or a block in the back, it looked like, out there near the site of the reception. And looks like we have somebody slow to get up again on this play. Actually, one guy on each team.
Bailey,
that's the receiver, Bailey. So what looked like it was going to be a nice gainer is going to come back. It is a hold against Park Center.
So it's a spot foul. Holding is a spot foul. So
right there it was.
Yep.
You got a hold of the back of the jersey there of the defensive back Bessick.
So a 10-yard penalty results in a 1st and
It's 17, it looks like.
So they actually it was upfield a little bit.
Under 4 minutes to play here now. Handoff goes to Richards. Richards spins out of a tackle. There were 2 guys there waiting for him, and he keeps on going. And then finally is thrown down by Bessick, but all the way down inside the 25. Boy, he will pick up the first down. They really had a chance to get him right away here, and 2 guys just couldn't wrap up.
Bessick ends up throwing him past the line to gain, which at that point is not a big deal, but first down for Park Center.
See if they can finish a drive. They've had a couple decent ones and ran out of time at the end of the first half. Brown handing to Richards. Richards getting to the outside, getting a block from Wilkins. And Richards keeps the legs driving. Like you said earlier, he's not all that big, but he runs hard.
Yeah. And once he gets in the open field, he's pretty tough to deal with. And he's got to have a pretty good night going tonight in terms of total yardage.
And well up over 100 now for Malcolm here. 1st and goal to go from the 4 for Park Center, but time not on their side as they're under 3 minutes to go and they're down by 21. Brown will hand it off to Richards. Nice little cut, and he is in for the touchdown. Had one guy sealing the edge, and he just threw him a little hip fake to the outside and then cut it up hard, and he gets in for the 4-yard touchdown. So Park Center is on the board.
That breaks a at least seven quarter scoreless situation for Park Center Pirates, and That's a nice touchdown run for Malcolm Richards, and he deserves it. He's worked hard tonight.
Sean Lee on to attempt the extra point here for Park Center. Have to believe an onside kick will be coming next. Ooh, the snap dribbles its way back there. He gets the kick up, though, and it is good. Heck of a job there on the hold as well.
Boy, the holder had to be a second baseman on that one.
Usually when you get a one-hopper, it's generally not going to result in Tanner Stein, I believe, was the holder getting, I believe, that put that ball back in place there.
He got it on the tee just in time, and Sean Lee does a really nice job of getting the ball up in the air. He doesn't look like he doesn't have the normal body of a kicker, but he does a pretty good job, and he gets the ball up quick. And watching him warm up, he kicks the ball well.
And Armstrong had to be feeling like that ball somehow split between them because they had enough penetration to block that, but just didn't quite get the hand in the way. And so it is 21-7, and give obviously extra credit there to the holder Tanner Stein,
yes,
sophomore
absolutely,
quarterback and holder in that spot. So certainly expect Park Center to go for the onside kick here.
Yeah, with only 2:44, even though you're still down by 2 scores. And this is the situation where having some creativity in your onside kick and not just try to kick it 10 yards and get it to go, you might be able to figure out a way to, throw a wedge shot in there and get the ball down around the 30-yard line. And if you got, one guy that's faster running forward than one of the other guys is running backwards, you might have a chance of getting it. And then even if you don't cover it, you're not giving the ball up at midfield.
He still has Svensson back deep, and the other 10 up
in
close formation here. See what Lee does with it. He tries to get it to bounce up, but they were offside.
Yeah,
Park Center was. Well, he did, I think, what you were saying probably should be the hope is to either get under it and chip it way up in the air, or to make it, to chop it downward so that it's going to take that one big hop over the first wave of guys.
Yeah, and make the guys look up to catch the ball, because then they can't see what's coming down around them. And an offside on the kickoff, again, that's a discipline thing. That's a
So marching back 5.
We got a lot of space on this side. 2 guys are standing on the hash mark. There's 4 guys outside the hash mark for Park Center. But it's hard to kick it this way.
Lee going to try and pooch it over him, but it's Schreiner making a nice catch, and he just wisely goes down and will sit down on the turf.
That was actually a pretty good job by both sides. I thought Sean Lee kicked the ball right where they wanted it to go, and Schreiner does a nice job of getting up and grabbing it before anybody can get there.
So they'll have it on the 45-yard line, Armstrong will, as they look to try and run out the clock.
Well, with 2 timeouts, Park Center's, their backs are pretty well up against the wall right now.
Svensson will hand it off to Forkpay, and he is tossed down by Bella. Wrapped him up around the waist and threw him down. And then a quick timeout is requested. Well, it's an official timeout for another injury for Park Center, this one is. Actually, Schnobrick is down and another player.
Snowbridge and
Jones.
Marshawn Jones.
Loss of about 4 on that play. So Schnobrick and Jones are both going to hobble to the sideline.
Two of their leading tacklers right there. Schnobrick's walking like he has a cramp.
So bring up the 2nd down and long. They will wind the clock because there was a stoppage on the field,
right.
and they're telling Svensson, we'll let you know when you should snap it here. High snap it. Svensson comes down with it. He's going to run. And a flag is down on the play. Looks like a hold there out on the edge as he started to cut that ball up. Boy, it's been a flag fest and injury fest here tonight. In between those things, it's been a pretty good game, but boy, we've had an awful lot of each.
Yeah, I'm looking here on the sideline, and I'm seeing 5 starters standing on the sideline here, guys that aren't necessarily injured, but guys that have played a lot tonight. So it looks like the second offensive line group is in, and Tyler Fleiss is the quarterback.
Bush going to run the ball here. Another flag down, imagine that. Brought down back behind the line of scrimmage there. They decline this penalty.
Right. It's they just don't want to run the play again. Keep giving them plays.
And now Park Center is going to use a timeout.
Right.
So Armstrong will even its record at 2-2, and like we said, very, very close to winning last week.
Right.
Obviously, close doesn't count, but considering as much adversity as they have faced, even being 2-2 is not all that bad at this point.
Yeah, they've got to be happy with that, with all the adversity and with some of the other problems that Coach told us about. It's it's one of those things where when you can hold together as a team through that kind of challenge. You coming out on the other side, it makes you stronger.
Give us to Forkpay, and Howard gets him from behind there. They continue to kind of go backward here, but timeout taken by Park Center, 1:21 to go. And if it hadn't been for that Park Center touchdown, you would kind of say, well, this one's over anyway. But at 21-7,
Right.
It's not in the books quite yet.
Well, the one thing that Park Center has to try to do here is obviously score in as quickly as they possibly can. You'd like to say 1 or 2 plays or have a punt run back for a touchdown or something like that, get a big play, and then make something else happen, because now you're going to be, you've only got one timeout. There's not enough time to stop the clock twice or 3 times, obviously, to try to control the clock. So you have to control the clock when you have it. You can't control it when the other guy has it.
Jaeger will boot it away here. Park Center looking to try and set up a return here. And it takes a huge bounce and then finally fielded and grabbed at the 30. And still not down yet. Now the ball pops free. The Falcons will come up with the recovery. Oh my. Just when it looked like Park Center might make a nice play out of nothing, it turns out they get the fumble.
So the ball carrier is carrying the ball very loose. You see that he had a lot of space between the ball and his body, and that just isn't going to be conducive to holding on to it. So now, with 1 minute and 4 seconds to go, Armstrong can run their take a knee formation here.
Eden Prairie beating Maple Grove tonight 28-15. Champlain Park a late lead on Blaine.
Oh, Blaine is undefeated.
Going to run it here with quarterback Fliss, and down to a knee he goes. As the sophomore Tyler Fleiss getting a loss of a couple, but
right. At this point, it's just running the clock that matters.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. Like, I would think taking the knee here might be the
discretion might be the better part of valor at this point.
It's a little different when you're in the shotgun to be taking a knee, though, too. And they are going to hand it off to Fort Pay here. And that should do it, Armstrong will be able to run out the clock from here. And they will up their record to 2-2 with a 21-7 victory here. Walking wounded, but they get the job done. They came out strong after halftime, Bill, and kind of seized command. At halftime, it certainly appeared it was anybody's game.
Well, they got the 2 scores in the third quarter and really put Park Center on their heels, both offensively and defensively, and really that became the game. Park Center made a valiant try in the fourth quarter, getting back and getting 1 score, but really being down by 3 scores, it's very, very tough to come back.
Tino Grace looks like they'll improve to 4-0 as they are up big on Osseo 27-7, presumably late in that ball game over at Osseo High School. So certainly a nice showing here tonight on their home field for Armstrong, Bill. And
yeah, they got to be very pleased with this overall. That even they got another running back dinged. They held together very well, played well, and got the job done. That's really what they needed to do.
And you don't get ahead of yourself, but presumably a winnable game at Irondale or against Irondale next week as well.
Right.
So an outstanding outing here for Armstrong, and Allie standing by with one of the heroes of the game for the Falcons.
Hero of the game, and in the second half tonight, this team figured out you can run, and run you did. You had back-to-back rushing touchdowns, one for 73 yards. Walk us through that play.
Well, I just caught the snap, saw grass, and just took off. Good blocking by my line, and that's pretty much all it was for me.
Do you like rushing as a quarterback? I know that, due to an injury in the first game of the season, you're now at the helm and really starting to learn your quarterback style.
I like scoring touchdowns and winning games. I mean, whether I throw it or pass it or do it on defense, I don't really care.
It's as simple as that, but your team has really faced some adversity with all of these injuries. You saw it tonight too, player after player going down. What does it say about your guys' team as you're able to push through that and still get another win?
Well, it's just on next man up. Our coaches, they don't care who gets hurt or who's in, whether you're a freshman, senior, junior. It's just, if you're in, you're in. We expect you to make plays, no excuses, and just next man up.
Nick, talk about your defense tonight. They almost had a shutout. Talk about their performance.
I'm proud of them. It was bend, not break. We had some scares, and that 99-yard drive that could have been a touchdown, that would have been, I know our defensive coach would have been upset about that. He kind of was, but at the end of the day, it's a W and only let up 7 points, so that's good.
Your team definitely showing your talents today. You guys still have to face adversity with continued injuries. What do you see for this football team for the rest of the season?
Well, we should be getting some guys back next week, and as the season progresses, we'll get healthier and healthier, and I think we're set up to do big things in the future.
Nick, congratulations. Go celebrate with your
team.
Thank you. All right, guys, send it back to you.
Thanks very much, Allie. Nick Svensson obviously happy down there and a little giggly as well there. That's good after a win, 21-7 victory for Armstrong here tonight. Well, we hope you've enjoyed tonight's game here from the home of the Falcons, as our final score once again is 21-7 Armstrong. For Bill Hunstock, Allie Arlton, all of our crew, MJ Wilcox. Good night from Plymouth.